The 10 Plagues. Moses returned to Egypt. Along the way, he saw Aaron coming to meet him. Moses told Aaron what Yahweh had said to him from the midst of the burning bush. Aaron gathered the elders of Israel together. Aaron repeated Yahweh's words while Moses showed them the miraculous signs. The elders and the people of Israel believed that Yahweh had heard their prayers. They bowed down and worshipped, hailing Moses as their leader. They promised to follow him wherever he led them. Moses, Aaron, and the elders set out to meet with Pharaoh. Along the way, the elders lost courage. One by one, they dropped behind and went home. When Moses and Aaron arrived at the palace gate, they were alone. 60,000 soldiers surrounded the palace, all under strict orders to admit no one without Pharaoh's permission. Yahweh made Moses and Aaron invisible. An angel led them past the soldier to Pharaoh's throne. The two brothers suddenly appeared before Pharaoh. "Thus says the God of Israel, allow my people to go forth to worship me for 3 days in the desert," Aaron said. Pharaoh flew into a rage. "How dare you come before me without permission? Release the lions," he shouted. Pharaoh's soldiers let loose the lions that guarded Pharaoh's throne. The savage beasts bounded toward Moses and Aaron to tear them to pieces. Moses raised his staff. The lions rolled at his feet like kittens. "I know you. You are Moses," Pharaoh cried. Moses and Pharaoh had grown up together in the palace. Pharaoh had always hated Moses because he feared his father would make Moses king in his place. Now he said, "My father condemned you to death for killing an overseer. I will carry out the sentence." He ordered his soldiers to cut off Moses' head, but Yahweh turned Moses' neck into ivory. When the soldiers struck at him, their swords broke. The frightened Egyptians scurried away as Aaron repeated his words. "Thus says the God of Israel, allow my people to worship me in the desert for 3 days." "Who is this God of Israel? I know all the gods of Egypt and the gods of the neighboring lands. I never heard of this God, and I will certainly never allow my slaves to leave Egypt." Aaron spoke again. "Our God, the God of the Hebrew people, has spoken. If you do not heed his words, he will fill your land with death and destruction." Pharaoh laughed. "I don't believe you. Why are you making trouble for your people? Mind your own business. Don't fill their heads with strange notions about God and freedom, or they will suffer." The next day, Pharaoh summoned the overseers of his work gangs, saying to them, "You once gave the Hebrews straw to mix with mud to make bricks. From now on, let them find their own straw, but their quota of bricks will remain the same. Our slaves are lazy. They want a holiday to go to the desert to worship their God. Give them more work. Then they won't have time to listen to troublemakers." The overseers obeyed Pharaoh's orders. The slaves no longer received straw to make bricks. Instead, they had to gather their own straw in the fields. Yet each slave was required to make just as many bricks as before. Anyone falling short by even one brick was severely beaten. The people cursed Moses. "What have you done to us? We were happy in Egypt before you came." Moses cried to Yahweh, "Why did you send me? The children of Israel suffer more than ever. Pharaoh will not listen to me. He will not let them go. I have only made their misery worse. Better that I had remained in Midian, tending Jethro's sheep." Yahweh spoke gently to Moses. "Do not despair. I told you these things would happen when I spoke to you out of the burning bush. Return to Pharaoh, you and Aaron. Tell him to send the children of Israel forth from Egypt. Pharaoh will ask for a sign. Tell Aaron to throw his rod on the ground. It will become a snake. Then Pharaoh will know that I, the God of Israel, sent you." Moses and Aaron returned to Pharaoh. Aaron spoke the words that Yahweh commanded. As Yahweh predicted, Pharaoh refused to believe them. How do I know your God has sent you? Show me a sign." Aaron threw down his staff. It became a snake. Pharaoh scoffed. "My magicians can do the same." The magicians of Egypt came forward. As each threw his staff on the ground, it became a snake. However, the snake that had once been Aaron's rod swallowed all the others. Aaron picked it up by the tail, and it became a rod again. In spite of this sign, Pharaoh refused to yield. He dismissed Moses and Aaron, calling them tricksters and charlatans. Moses and Aaron went down to the banks of the Nile. Aaron struck the water with his staff. At once, all the water in the river turned to blood. So did the water in Egypt's canals and pools. Not even the water in the cisterns, tanks, and jars was spared. Only in Goshen, where the Israelites lived, was there water to drink. This first plague frightened Pharaoh, but he hardened his heart and refused to let the children of Israel go. Moses and Aaron went down to the Nile again. Aaron stretched out his rod over the water. Hordes of frogs, thousands upon thousands of them, came hopping out of the river. They swarmed into Pharaoh's palace. They jumped on his bed, into his clothes, even into his drinking cup. Frogs infested the whole land of Egypt. There was no escaping them, except in Goshen, where the children of Israel lived. Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron. "Take these frogs away, and I will free your people." The frogs died all at once. The Egyptians shoveled them into heaps by the thousands. The whole land stank with rotting frogs. But once again, Pharaoh hardened his heart. He refused to let the children of Israel go. Yahweh spoke to Moses and Aaron again. Aaron stretched out his rod and struck the dust. It whirled up into a cloud, filling the whole land with lice. They covered the Egyptians from head to foot. All the people, from Pharaoh on his throne to the poorest beggar squatting in the street, were infested with the vermin. They covered the animals and cattle. Only in the land of Goshen was there relief from them. The Egyptians cried out in misery, but Pharaoh hardened his heart. He refused to let the children of Israel go. Yahweh brought a fourth plague on Egypt, a plague of wild beasts. Animals never seen before swarmed out of the desert. They attacked people in the streets and in their homes. Weapons were useless. The animals refused to die even when struck with swords and arrows. Terrified, Pharaoh sent for Moses and Aaron. He promised to free the Israelites if Yahweh would remove the plague from Egypt. Yahweh heard Pharaoh's words. The animals returned to the desert. But once they were gone, Pharaoh hardened his heart again. He refused to let the children of Israel go. Yahweh struck Egypt with disease. All the animals in the land became sick. The prize horses that pulled Pharaoh's chariots died. So did the sacred animals that the Egyptians worshipped in their temples: the sacred bull, the sacred ibis, the sacred cat, the sacred hippopotamus, and the sacred crocodile. Panic struck the Egyptians. If the gods of Egypt could not protect their sacred animals, how could they protect those who worshipped them? The Egyptians cried out to Pharaoh once more. But again, Pharaoh hardened his heart and refused to let the children of Israel go. Yahweh told Moses and Aaron to take handfuls of ashes from the nearest furnace and fling them skyward. The ashes turned into a cloud of dust that covered the land of Egypt. As the dust fell, it caused the exposed flesh of the Egyptians to erupt in oozing sores and boils. Pharaoh's magicians were helpless, so covered with boils that they could not stand. The Egyptians lay in the streets, groaning with misery. But Pharaoh hardened his heart and refused to let the children of Israel go. Then Yahweh commanded Moses to take his staff and stretch it toward the sky. Dark clouds rolled in to cover the sun. Lightning crackled. Thunder boomed as a mighty hailstorm descended on Egypt. Hailstones broke the limbs from trees and smashed down crops in the fields. Any person or animal caught outside was killed. Only in Goshen did no hail fall. Pharaoh sent for Moses and Aaron. He promised to free the Israelites if the hail ceased. Moses stretched his arms toward heaven. The hail stopped. As soon as it did, Pharaoh forgot his promise. He hardened his heart and refused to let the children of Israel go. Moses stretched his hand over Egypt again. An east wind rose. It blew all night and all day, bringing a swarm of locusts that blackened the sky. The locusts, a bug, descended on Egypt, devouring every blade of grass, every leaf, every green growing thing. Whatever survived the hail, the locusts destroyed, but not in Goshen. Not even one locust landed there. Pharaoh summoned Moses and Aaron. He humbled himself before them. "Pray to your God," he pleaded. "Ask him to remove these locusts, for if they remain in Egypt, there will be famine in the land." Moses prayed to Yahweh for the sake of Pharaoh and the Egyptians. Yahweh called forth a mighty west wind that blew the locusts out to sea. Not a single locust remained in the land of Egypt. But once again, Pharaoh forgot his promise. He hardened his heart and refused to let the children of Israel go. Now Yahweh said to Moses, "Stretch forth your hand to heaven, and darkness will descend on Egypt." So it happened. Darkness covered the land for 3 days. There was no difference between day and night. Neither the sun, the moon, nor the stars could be seen. The darkness was like a thick blanket. People could not see their neighbors even while standing next to them. Lighting torches or candles did no good. The flames gave off no light. Only in Goshen, where the children of Israel dwelled, did the sun shine. Pharaoh summoned Moses in haste. "Go at once," he cried. "Take your people with you. Only their flocks and cattle must remain behind." "Nothing will be left behind," Moses told him. "Not a lamb, not a calf, not a hoof or a horn will remain. The whole people of Israel and all they possess must go forth." "I give you freedom and you reject it. Get out. Do not come before me again," cried Pharaoh. "If I see your face, I will kill you."